Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now this story comes from Full Plastic, who says, my 27 male girlfriend's 25 female brother, 29 male, drove my car without my permission. And I have proof that he did it. I lived with my girlfriend for a few years and we've been a great match. Her only weakness is that she will give in to her family's request if they pressure her enough. I restored a car by myself in my early 20s. It's customized to my liking and took me years to build from the ground up. I'm not a huge dick about it, as I drive anyone around in it and I don't get bent out of shape when people touch it. My only rule, which my girlfriend knows, is that I do not like anyone else driving my car. My brother took a liking to the car immediately after he met me and has bothered me to let him drive it often. Her whole family jumps in it and says I should let him take it for a spin. Her mum even kept going and said, what's the harm in just letting him drive it? I've always laughed it off because they all know I don't lend it out to anyone. I was out of town for the weekend on business and things went on as usual. I flew back into town and went about life. This morning I noticed my car was posted in a group that spots vehicles in my city. I saw what I'm convinced is my girlfriend's brother's face through the glass in a parking lot. I know for a fact it is my car, and sometimes these people hold on to photos before posting them. But I have very short hair and the man in the picture has 2 inches of hair like my girlfriend's brother. Should I confront them both? I want to do this without causing too much of a fuss because it's not a big deal to everyone. I just don't like people I'm not very close with driving my cars. So either the girlfriend's handed these keys over because you gave us a little hint in the first paragraph that she has a weakness of giving in to her family's requests if they pressure her enough, or the brother's taken the keys from her, stolen the keys from her, should I say, and then stolen your car and taken it out for a joyride. And to discover this information, I would simply be asking the girlfriend, with the photo evidence that you have, about how did your brother end up driving the car while you was away. And then her answer is going to tell you everything that you need to know. If she gave him the keys, it's a huge betrayal after what she already knows about how you feel about the car. And if he stole them from her, she should be equally as angry as you are in this situation. And if not, again, that's also telling. Either way, someone was stealing in this situation, and it's quite as simple as that. And in OP's TLDR on this, they said, how do I confront them without making too much of a fuss? But the thing is, you should be making a fuss on this. But a commenter says similar, saying that's called theft. He's not on your insurance. I'd be making a big fuss. He's 29, not 16. That's screwed up in a lot of ways. OP says that's my way of thinking. I'm pretty upset over the clear breach of boundaries along with the immaturity. I'm just thinking of the best way to approach the situation because I tend to get a bit extra when I lose my temper. Moonlight Tracer says, I would confront your girlfriend first. I saw a picture of your brother driving my car on this group. You know I don't like people driving my car, and I feel hurt that you go behind my back to allow him to drive it. It doesn't matter if it's not a big deal to you. You should respect the boundaries I set in place with my belongings. I cannot trust you with this car, and therefore you will no longer have access to the keys. Take deep breaths. You know you might get out of control, so just stick to whatever script you decide. If you feel yourself getting mad, just calmly tell her that you need some time to think. You getting mad will only make her more defensive. Stick to how hurt and disrespected you feel. OP says, I've calmed down quite a bit to think rationally about this. I know that I'm just going to calmly confront her and him about this. I plan to speak to her first and him face to face after with photo on hand. I'm just going to tell them both that I'm very disappointed and that this was a huge breach of trust. In the future, when they make reference to driving my car, I'll be as harsh and blunt as possible about not letting any of them drive it. Someone says, what kind of car is it? OP says it's a 1970s Nissan Z. I just had a look at those and they're cheeky little cars there, they look quite nice. And I was looking at the prices and they was ranging from like 17,000. Some of them were up to like 40 odd thousand, so bloody hell. Again, I might be looking at something completely different there, so you have to forgive me, but I imagine it's quite pricey, a 1970s car like that he's looked after by the sounds of it. But OP came in with an update and says, I took the advice given and contacted the guy who posted the picture for details. The information he provided proved this picture was taken when I was away from town and a couple of minutes from my house outside of a grocery store. So I printed the picture and information to take home with me. When I got in, I went straight to my girlfriend and told her I'd like to speak to her about something. I put the picture on the table with the conversation I had with the guy who posted it. It took a second to register with her at first, but then she just asked, "Is that my brother?" I told her that I saw this posted in the spotted group and asked when her brother had access to my car. She said she had him over because she was making dinner for her parent and brother the day after I left. We walked through the entire day, and long story short, she went to take a nap and asked her brother to pick up some stuff from the store. She went in the bathroom and he left, then came back with the stuff. By this time I was on the edge of exploding. It's obvious that her brother took my car to the store for a joyride. At the time, angry at them both, to be honest. I didn't know if I wanted to believe her story or just condemn them both. I told her I needed to cool off a bit and went outside. She seemed a mix of upset and confused. When I got back inside, she was on the phone with her brother in the other room. I could hear her yelling, "Don't fucking lie." So I walked in and told her to make him come over and I'd like to speak to him. I cooled off a bit by the time he pulled up. I asked him to take a seat and showed him the pictures and conversation. I was about to ask him to explain before my girlfriend jumped in and asked, "Did you take his car to the store when I asked you to pick up some stuff up the other day?" He didn't say anything, so I started speaking. I told him that he took my car without permission after I made it abundantly clear that nobody else should drive it. This is not only disrespectful to me, but it's also dangerous from an insurance standpoint and illegal. He just sat there and said nothing. I told him and my girlfriend that I will leave it alone this time, but if something like this ever happens again, I'll call the cops. We sat in silence for a while until I told him it's time to go. He tried to apologize, but I stopped him and said he should just learn from this and make better decisions. I also reminded him of my promise to call the cops next time and that he is not allowed near my car anymore. He left, and then I turned to my girlfriend and told her that my trust had been breached. I love her and will give her the benefit of the doubt on this, but to take it as a lesson on being firm with her family. That the whole, "oh, but their family" or "what's the harm" shit is not tolerated anymore. She agreed and apologized for the whole thing. I now keep my keys locked away in a place only I know. My girlfriend called her mother and started explaining the whole thing. I cracked a beer and rested easy. All is well at the moment, but I keep in mind that this happened once. It's definitely going to be different around her family, but I think that's a good thing. Thanks, Reddit. So a commenter said to OP, "Well done, sir. You kept your cool, told off the brother, and kept good relationship with girlfriend and parents. Have another beer." OP says, "I'm glad that I'll still be on okay terms with her family. From what I heard, her mum and dad are pretty shocked that their son did that. I'll leave getting angry and yelling to them now." Frodo says, "What your girlfriend did, jumping in, is only suspicious because we've seen all movies or TV shows where that happened, like Joey saves Chandler from revealing too much to Phoebe. Your girlfriend probably did it because she is in fact genuinely angry and wanted to yell at her brother so you didn't have to. She felt bad that her family did this to you and felt responsible, so she wanted to fix it for you." OP says, "That's what I believe happened. I know she was upset and very embarrassed by the entire thing based on how her voice sounded. She probably didn't want to hear him try to lie his way out of it for all I know." Commodore says, "Having been the girlfriend just last week in a similar situation. I called my brother immediately and flipped on him. I was mad for my boyfriend and embarrassed for myself. Totally understandable if she did that." And someone was saying OP's the arsehole for the way he reacted to all this, and OP says, "Maybe I am an arsehole, and you're entitled to your opinion of me. No disputing that. I'm upset that the brother of my girlfriend took one of my prized possessions for a drive when it's clear to everyone that I do not want anyone else driving it. I might be overreacting by hiding my keys, but I don't trust leaving them out in the open at the moment. Didn't work out the last time. As for calling the cops, like I said above, I told him if something like this happens again, I'd be calling the cops. Would you like someone borrowing something precious of yours again after you told them not to the first time you caught them?" An edit. As per previous comments, I'm currently gathering parts for a kill switch, and nobody knows where my keys are hidden but me. Edit 2. After a bit of thinking and reading comments below, I realized that I left things a bit unfinished with my girlfriend and I sat her down. I apologized to her if I made her feel any of this was her fault and assured her it wasn't, because in truth, it really isn't. In the heat of the moment, my mind was clouded. She was relieved that I wasn't mad at her and told me how embarrassed she was about the entire situation. We talked a bit more and I reassured her she couldn't have known he'd do that and did nothing wrong. She knows where I keep my car keys and we're all good. Her brother did call and apologize to me again. I appreciated him reaching out and told him as long as it's not repeated, we'll all try to move on. I've seen that people find it odd or childish how protective of my car I am in the comments below. They might be right and I overreacted a bit, I'll admit that. This car holds a fair bit of sentimental attachment to me and I've sunk quite a bit of hours into it. It's a passion of mine, so I've gotten very protective of it over time. Again, thank you Reddit. I'm glad that OP had that conversation with his girlfriend in the end because, it doesn't sound like it was her fault. And I also don't think that OP overreacted in this situation. Like OP said, it's sentimental, he's put a lot of time in it, it's probably worth quite a bit, and this guy's just taken his possession and gone for a ride in it. It takes the piss. Like I always say, it's not hard to be respectful of other people, and that's just so disrespectful, taking someone's car out like that. And it's a thought process. He was thinking, where's the keys? I need to sneak them out to go and take the car, etc, etc. I know people, well, a couple of people, one owns a Sierra Cosworth, one owns a Escort Mark II, both project cars that they've had for years and years, worth absolute ton. And I'm not saying this is the right way to deal with things, by the way, but I can imagine them going absolutely super crazy if someone did something like that to one of their cars. I mean, berserk. Again, I'm not saying it's the right way to deal with it, but they would. That's just the fact. And now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? How would you feel if you was OP in that situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now, on the next story, it comes from PreferenceOK449 from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit. And it says, am I the arsehole for blaming my fiance for Thanksgiving being a disaster? I'm sitting in my pajamas fuming about this whole thing, and my fiance is acting like he holds no equal footing here. I need to know I'm not crazy. When I was about 4 years old, my parents introduced me to their friend, Rose. She started spending a lot of time with us and eventually moved in. They were very close friends and she was very good to me, but I didn't think anything weird of it. A lot of people I knew lived with family, so I thought it was like that. When I was a preteen, they explained to me that they were all together. No polygamy or a sister's wife situation, but Rose was in love with and dating both my parents. It was a little jarring because I accepted it and honestly, it didn't change much. Rose was still one of those people who helped me with homework, pitched in with dinner, taught me how to ride a bike, etc. She was there for every big moment, even the sad ones. The only thing that changed is they started kissing one another in front of me, but nothing gross, just the typical parent pecks or whatever. I knew this wasn't the norm for every family. My friends were fine with it when they found out. Not all of their parents were as understanding or accepting, but we were old enough that we could see each other outside of our homes and it didn't impact me a whole lot socially. Twice I had a boyfriend who found it weird, but it was revealed early on in our relationship, so it wasn't a huge heartbreak. I've been with my fiance for the past 3 years. We've been engaged for 1. When we started dating, I explained my parents and he was cool with it. He'd hung out with them and spent holidays with us. His family lives across the country and they haven't been able to fly out to visit much. We've only afforded 1 trip there since I started dating. The first time I was meeting them, I asked my boyfriend to tell his parents about my parents and Rose and let me know what they said. He told me they were completely fine with it. Every time we saw each other, it never came up specifically, but I would mention Rose in passing and no one batted an eye. So I figured all was fine. This year, his parents were able to fly out for Thanksgiving. My fiance and I were hosting. My parents and Rose were coming too. Again, I think not much of it. Everyone's under one roof, everyone's nice and merry. Then at some point I go to check on the food and when I come out, things are noticeably awkward. Fiance's parents, my parents and Rose all look uncomfortable. Fiance looks annoyed. I ask what's wrong, but no one will tell me. I awkwardly announce that it's time to eat and the meal is quiet, outside my parents and Rose engaging with me. Fiance's parents leave for the hotel as soon as we're done eating and don't bother to stay for dessert. I'm even more confused. My mum eventually pulls me into another room and explains that while I was checking on the food, she, my father and Rose were all talking about a trip they're taking. Fiancé's parents looked confused and fiancé's mum asked, "Rose is going with you?" My mum had said, "Of course," which seemed to disturb them. My mum then said she explained that they were all in a relationship together and that even further disturbed them. She told me that she was hurt I lied that his parents were okay with them. It wouldn't have changed that they came, but they would have been more careful to not make it awkward. I told them I didn't lie at all. My fiancé told me they were okay with it. She apologized for accusing me, and I apologized she went through that. She, my dad, and Rose left not long after that. My fiancé and I got into a huge argument after this. He said he didn't know how to tell them, so he just didn't. I told him he's been lying to me for 2.5 years and put everyone in an uncomfortable position. I asked what his parents thought, and he had told them Rose was my aunt who lived with them to save on rent. I asked him what he expected to happen. My parents and Rose aren't making out and in people's faces, but when they're in what they assume are safe spaces, they act like they're in a relationship. He claims it's all on his parents for being weirded out and making it awkward. I said no, this is on him. He lied to everyone and made it terrible for everyone. Sure, his parents could have acted normally and they are at fault for not recovering and trying to have a nice meal, but he's still more so at fault. He just doubled down and said he didn't do anything wrong. He's now mad at me and says that I shouldn't be blaming him for this and instead should just be mad at his parents. I'm just so confused and lost and wondering if I'm going crazy by being mad at him. So as always, there was some comments with replies from OP with basically additional info. The first commenter said to OP, "Your fiancé is so obviously in the wrong here, for exactly the reasons you identified. There's not even any evidence his parents were embarrassed about the polyamory. They could have just as easily been embarrassed that their son had lied to them." OP says, "Yeah, haven't spoken to them, so I obviously don't know their thoughts. If it was just a lot to deal with at once, or if they felt embarrassed for initially being nasty about being confused over Rose attending the vacation." Commenter says, "OP, I'll text or email and tell them that you're sorry they didn't know. That you asked fiancé to tell them your family dynamic several years ago and when you first started dating, and he told you that he had, and that you had no questions or issues. You didn't find out until Thanksgiving that he had lied, and as a result there was confusion and awkwardness. You're sorry they weren't made aware of the unusual relationship before coming face to face with your parents and Rose and being embarrassed by not knowing the facts, and for the ensuing uncomfortable and awkward atmosphere. That you're not apologizing for your parents and their choices because it's not your responsibility and there's nothing to apologize for, and you're putting the blame squarely where it belongs. On the guy that was too embarrassed to discuss the throuple with his parents and lied for years to cover that up, not the arsehole." OP responded saying this is a good idea and I'll reach out to them in the morning. Commenter says, "Not the arsehole, your fiancé is at fault for lying. I won't blame his parents on their reaction. You're going to see similar reactions in the future if you decide to move on. Your normal won't be other people's normal, so be prepared to wait longer for the special one where him/his family will be comfortable with this situation. Hoping you are able to resolve this with him and he accepts who you/your family are." OP says, "I won't be surprised if they're uncomfortable. As I said, I've dealt with this before with other people, so it's not the end of the world. My family and I have learned to navigate that. It's just the fact that he lied and put us all in a situation that made it awkward." Another commenter says, "Not the arsehole. Is he usually adverse to having difficult discussions? I would not say this is 100% a deal breaker, but it would raise questions about his ability to face tough things/conversations. He dropped the ball in not having the conversation with his parents, lying to you about it and how he reacted after." OP says, "This is the first time I've caught him lying about something, but he does tend to avoid conflict. He is one to usually just agree with something, just to end the conversation. We've been working on it, and I've told him it's okay if we don't agree on something. He doesn't have to bend to what I or someone else wants. He can have opinions too, but in general, he just says I'm not bothered one way or another when it comes to things, which can be frustrating, especially here." OP clarifies on the relationship between her parents and Rose. I said it's not polygamy, which is when they are there to serve the man. They're also not claiming to be all married to one another. It is polyamory. So OP does come in with an update and says, "Hey everyone, so I'm here with an update. Before I got into how the talk with my fiance's parents went, want to answer some questions that a lot of people kept asking. 1. Why didn't I tell his parents myself about my parents and Rose? This was a decent point. While I still don't believe it is my fault for what occurred, I did understand the point of view that this was my situation, my family, and it's something at minimum we should have done together. I guess when it comes to situations like this, people's parents finding out about my own, usually friends, they just do it for me. It's not something I ask them to do. They usually ask me permission before our families meet and I say yes. I thought it'd be easier if my fiance told them before our arrival, so it wasn't just me word vomiting, "Hi, nice to finally meet you." Either way, my parents are in a polycule, but looking back, yes, I can acknowledge I should have offered to tell them as a couple. That being said, it felt that uncomfortable doing it alone. I wish she would have told me. 2. Do his parents think my parents and Rose are related? I feel really stupid for not thinking about this at the time. In my family, aunt is a term used loosely. It doesn't mean parent-sister. I have a lot of aunts and uncles that aren't related to my parents biologically but were close. Influential figures in my life, thus the titles. So when I found out they assumed Rose was an aunt, my mind just went to family friend, but Jesus Christ, realizing they probably thought that this was a flowers in the attic type situation. No shit, they freaked out. I feel dumb for not even considering this. 3. Some have said that this situation is unusual, and even if they don't assume this is a Folgers coffee holiday commercial, it's natural that they need a minute to process, or that they may never accept it at all. Many asked about religious or cultural reasons. His family isn't religious, nor do they come from a conservative culture. That being said, I can understand why this is odd to people, and why they need a minute or have a hard time accepting it. Even without those things, I think I just got protective of my parents and Rose in the moment, especially seeing how hurt my mum was in that moment. Yes, she's used to it, but that doesn't mean it doesn't sting when you're rejected. We're all human. At the end of the day, everyone is entitled to their own opinions. I'm also entitled to my feelings. I totally understand not everyone will accept my family. That doesn't mean I'm not allowed to be hurt by it. If I can't police anyone else's feelings, that goes twofold. 4. Someone asked, what if you never found a partner who accepted this? Or what if you never found a partner whose family did? And the truth is, I don't need their family to accept it. Just be respectful. For a partner, I thought I found one who was, and even if I never did, well, I'd rather have my family any day. Anyway, on to the update. As per point number 2, I realized the context they were lacking may be playing a part. So early this morning, I texted and asked if we could meet up and talk. I went without my fiance, as we still weren't really talking. We met for breakfast, and the first thing I asked was for them to give their side. As most of you expected, the weirdness and judgment they were giving was because they assumed Rose was my mum's sister. They actually seemed relieved when I explained the whole story and are supportive. They want to properly re-meet my family, which I said was sweet. I didn't want to get into the whole "I don't know where your son and I stand," as that wasn't their problem. However, his mum did clarify. So, fiance's name knew the real story this whole time and lied. I was honest and said yes. I said maybe I should have made sure he actually told them, but his dad actually interrupted and said if he promised to tell them, then it was on him to say it. They were both very disappointed in him. They actually said what a lot of you did. Even if he lied for all this time, he should have spoken up when things got awkward and smoothed out the situation, or even grabbed me too. They felt even worse, but I told him it wasn't their fault. Given the context of the situation, I don't blame them for acting weird. The meeting ended on a positive note. We were all supposed to have lunch later on, but given everything with my fiance, I didn't feel great about going, so I had him go alone. I told his parents ahead of time and they understood. When fiance came back from lunch, he apologized. He said he wasn't sure how to tell them and kept meaning to. He also kept hoping it would naturally come up. I pointed out it wasn't he just didn't tell them. He actively lied. Of course, they never suspected Rose was anything more than an aunt in my stories because that's the lie he planted. He was sincere in his apology, but then he mentioned he got a tongue thrashing from his parents, and I wonder if he would have apologized had they not told him what a jerk he was. I said I understood if he felt weird about telling them, but he should have told me. We could have navigated shit together. Instead, he let it explode. then did zero to help clean it up, nor did he take accountability until Mummy and Daddy scolded him. He made my parents and Rose look bad, made me look even worse, and most importantly, he lied to me and his parents for 2.5 years. How am I supposed to trust him again about anything? I listed some examples you guys gave. He got quiet and said he understood, but he wanted to rebuild the trust. I asked if he was really okay with my family dynamic, and he insisted he is. He says he loves my family, and he really has no issues. He just didn't know how to tell them. I said I want to believe him, but you can never fully trust a liar again. He asked what we could do to fix this. I said I needed time. He offered counseling, and I said I'd consider it. We started planning our wedding a few weeks ago, but that has been put on hold indefinitely. I'd been living with him since the engagement, but I'm back with my parents and Rose for now. I've decided if this is something I can live with going forward. It's only been a few hours, so I genuinely have no idea if I can forgive him for this and move on. One person said, hopefully this will be a funny story one day. Remember the Thanksgiving where your parents didn't know who Rose was? I don't even know if I could ever get there. I love him. I thought he was my person. I don't want to throw it all away, but I need space. If we move forward with the relationship, we will absolutely be going to counseling. I told him even if we break up and I don't go, he needs to enter therapy for his conflict avoidance. He didn't disagree. He also called my parents and Rose to apologize. They were civil, but I know they were not happy. Fiance's parents, however, have invited them to do a do-over dinner before they head back to the West Coast, and with my blessing, they're going. It'd be nice if they could be friends after all this. That's where we are. Everything is so fresh and I still don't know what I want yet. Going to take the holidays to reset and rethink about a lot. Thanks for all the advice. A commenter said to OP on the back of this, I'm glad you're hitting the brakes on things and taking time to process and work on mending rather than A, going scorched earth and break up, or B, rug sweep. The taking a step back, working on rebuilding is a very healthy route and hopefully will lead to a healthier relationship down the road. OP says thank you. It's eye-roll inducing how some are like, you're throwing everything away. I'm taking a breath to think. It's only been 24 hours. It's rational to need a minute. Comment a quote saying he also kept hoping it would naturally come up and then says he's lying about that too. He knew it would never naturally come up because people just don't ask if their child's parents are in a polycule, especially with someone they think is a relative. I hope he says exactly this. When did he think it would ever come up? And one more commenter says to OP, you know what's really wild is that his parents are being perfectly lovely about the polycule, which means your fiance didn't even have the tiniest little excuse for not telling them the goddamn truth in the first place. He just didn't wanna. So he lied for 2.5 years, set everyone up for a disastrous meeting, and then sat on his hands and let everyone twist in the wind. I can't imagine trusting this guy ever again. I'd say you'd always have to worry about him crumpling when the going gets tough, but he actually crumples when the going gets mildly inconvenient. Life is too long and too full of ups and downs to have a partner who doesn't even try. Opie says this is what drives me crazy. He knew they would likely be cool with it and instead he lied for no reason. I'd have more sympathy if he had very conservative or religious parents. I'd get it, but they are the exact opposite. And a lot of people in the comments just looking at the lying in general, lying for 2.5 years about this and really taking no accountability afterwards. And just saying, would you be able to trust that person going forward? And it's something that I say in a lot of stories at the same time as well. Like when someone's lied, would you be able to trust them again, etc.? Because I know myself, I would really struggle with that. But what do you guys make of this one? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.